Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining the South Fulton Coalition. We are pleased tonight to have our candidate running for District 35. This is a special election for the Senate seat, Erica Denise Solomon. And we are also joined tonight by our moderator for the evening, Courtney Hendricks. Courtney is actually a resident of the city of South Fulton. She lives in District 2. And Miss Solomon, she is also a resident of the city of South Fulton, and she lives in District 1, and I look forward to having a great conversation tonight. We would like to just remind the audience that that as part of our ground rules, please be respectful to everyone in the chat as well as to our panel tonight. And we ask that the candidate talk about her platform and try to refrain from talking about her opponents or what they're doing. So this is an opportunity for you to talk to the city of South Fulton residents about you and your platform. So at this time, I would like to turn it over to the moderator, Ms. Courtney Hendricks. You have the floor.
Awesome. Thanks, Rashad. Good evening, everyone. My name is Courtney Hendricks, and I'm delighted to be your moderator this evening for an intimate conversation with Ms. Erica Denise Solomon. To get us started, we thought maybe we would just start with her. And in your words, tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background, and what brought you to this position in your life.
So my name is Erica Denise Solomon. I am a resident of the city of South Fulton. I have been here for 7 years. I am a homeowner here, and I'm very thankful for the city of South Fulton for having attainable housing so that I could become a homeowner at the age of 30. Um, so, a little bit about me and my background. I've been in the metro Atlanta area for 11 years. What brought me here was that I used to be a journalist. And as a journalist, you want to move up markets. That's the name of the game, is to move up markets. I started in Market 77 in my hometown, Columbia, South Carolina. Well, it was 77 at the time. Then I moved over to Charlotte, North Carolina, Market 25, and then I made it to Atlanta at the age of 25, 26 years old, and worked at a television news station here in Atlanta. I try not to say the name, but if you go and look on my LinkedIn, you will definitely see it. I worked as an assignment editor, and if you don't know anything about news, what an assignment editor does is they get to decide what's going to be on the news and what's not going to make it to the news. But they also get to hear about all of the news. Instead of being a reporter and hearing about one story a day, I knew all the stories. I knew exactly what was going on in every part of Metro Atlanta, including South Fulton. I worked there for 7 years, and I actually got an Emmy nomination. I decided to transition into corporate communications after getting an MBA from the University of Georgia. I worked in corporate communications for a while, and right now I am working as as a federal government consultant for the National Cancer Institute, where I purchase software that helps us with cancer research. I'm so sorry, my asthma's bothering me a little. That helps us with cancer research. And so that is where I am right now in my professional career. What led me to this role? The major thing is I miss being able to help people with the level of platform that I had while working as a journalist. There are several things that I was able to do not only for this district, but for people within Metro Atlanta. But if I give you an example of what I was able to do for this district, at one point we had, I want to say that was about in 2018, maybe 2019. On Cascade Road, there was a little overpass that was shut down for a while. We had to take a detour onto Campbellton in order to get to the Atlanta side of Cascade. As a resident, I asked questions, didn't get an answer. But as a journalist, I asked questions, got an answer, we got results, and we were able to get back on the road within about 3 to 6 months, I want to say. And so I understand what a platform can do when it comes to helping the community. And so that is one of the things that one of the reasons of why I would like to be the next state senator, especially to represent the South Fulton area. We have a lot of concerns, especially when it comes to millage rates, when it comes to our cityhood, and I would like to address those issues.
So that's a good segue into one of our first questions here. Maybe you can explain to everyone, how does a senator in the state of Georgia impact local operations, like in the city of South Fulton?
Yeah. So I will say for the city of South Fulton, the way that we were able to become a city is because of the Georgia Assembly. And so basically our cityhood lies within the Georgia Assembly. Now, as a senator, there are 56 state senators, 180 state representatives. The Senate is called the upper house, and that is controlled that is led by the lieutenant governor. And so basically, the main task of the Senate is to pass a budget for the year. Now, when it comes to appropriations, that's a committee. And you want to get into the appropriations committee because then you're able to help divvy out where each piece of the budget is going. But there are also other bills that you can also put up to see if they can make it to committee. And once they make it to committee and they pass committee, they can go on the floor. And then you also have resolutions that will also go through a similar process. And so that's what you do inside of the state Senate. And I will also say that the state Senate, I think we would start in January and we would be done by April, sine Dodd, and that is the finale of the session. I've seen that a lot when covering it on news, and it looks exciting, especially to be able to make sure that you've gotten the task done that your residents wanted to get done, or at least you've tried your best. You've got something in there. You have a bill that you've written that passed. You have a bill that you co-signed on that passed. That's an exciting moment, especially knowing that you've done that for the residents of your district.
So speaking of the district, this District 35 includes parts of Metro Atlanta, Cobb, and Fulton County. How do you anticipate being able to serve those different residents in different parts of our community?
Yeah. So, like I told you before, I had my ear to the streets when it comes to all of Metro Atlanta. So I'm very familiar with every part of the district that I would be serving. So this district is South Atlanta, South Fulton, slithers of Vinings, and slithers of Smyrna.
Okay.
And so the way that's made up is that most of the district consists of Fulton County. Um, and if we chop it up even more, most of that is South Fulton. We're 66% women. And then we're also within the district 50% of homeowners and 50% of renters. So one of my platforms is affordable housing, but I've decided I'm sliding in there attainable housing as well. Because as we know, how hard it is to purchase a home right now. And someone asked me yesterday, what's the difference between affordable housing so sorry, and attainable housing. And the difference between affordable housing is that affordable housing is meant to make sure that everyone has a roof over their head, whether it's through vouchers or for people of lower income. But attainable housing is for the people who are in between being the people who need vouchers and the super rich. So attainable housing is that person who has the $30,000 down payment, but $30,000 just isn't going to cut it right now as a down payment. So you want to kind of bring it back home to where $30,000 is a perfect down payment. And that's what we call attainable housing. Um, And so I think your overall question is how would I be able to serve each part of our district? Now, one of the things that I want to do when I am in the State House is I am going to bring my newsroom attitude to the State House. I am actually in the process of trying to figure out what platform I would like to use so that the residents and constituents can call in kind of like they would for a newsroom and give me their complaint so that we can look into it. And when I was a journalist, I not only just looked into it, put it on the news, but I would also try to go the extra mile and solve the problem for people. And that's exactly what I would like to do when I am in the State House. And I'm excited about that because I love solving problems for people.
Awesome. So your campaign speaks to our story, our history, our future.
Yes.
What story from your life really resonates with you to help, I guess, to motivate you to serve right now?
Yeah, I would say what motivates me to serve right now is that I understand that it is a privilege to be able to run for office and especially to be able to drop everything and run for office for 45 days. But I also understand the other side of things for the people who are less privileged. I do have family members and friends who are not as privileged. And so, what one of the things about my story is the duality of my life, and to be able to see. I would like to say I like to see every side. That's a thing that that I did as a journalist. I do as a consultant for the federal government, is to be able to see all sides of an issue, all sides of a story, and present those stories, and not only present them, but to be able to solve the issue that's at hand. I've done that all my life with news, without news, and I plan to do the same thing within the State House.
Awesome. Rashard, you have your hand raised?
Yes. So, Ms. Solomon, thank you for explaining the differences with the Georgia Senate. So, one of the questions that keeps coming up is in the city of South Fulton, we had this whole thing about the mayor and the city council being part-time versus full-time and what the salaries are. So what can you share with us what is the salary of someone that's running in the state senate, and then is that a part-time position? Can you talk about that?
Man, the salary is not what y'all think it is. I bet y'all are thinking it's like, oh, you're gonna at least make 50. Nah, you're gonna make $24,000, which is kind of fair because you're only working technically from January to April. Um, so that is, I think it's fair. I would probably be one of the people that would be opposed to raising the salary for Senate because where else can you make $24,000 in 4 months? Um, and so that's the salary of the state senate. Did I answer your question?
You did.
Okay.
And then, yeah. So would you consider that part-time work? Because this issue keeps coming up with the city of South Fulton's elected
Yeah, yeah,
officials.
yeah, yeah.
Um, they our charter says that they're part-time, but
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
they say they put in full-time
Yeah,
work.
we're gonna get
So
into that. We're
okay,
gonna get into that. But would I say state senate work is full-time work? Yes, absolutely. Because 24/7, I will be a state senator. Now, like I said before, would I ask for a pay increase for technically 4 months of work? No. I do not believe that is, I'm sorry, keep getting messages. I do not believe that that is appropriate, especially for where the people who are usually in the Senate sit economically. It's not fair at all.
thank you for that. Back to you, Courtney.
Awesome. So getting into more around the role itself, if you are elected, what are your top three priorities for the first years in District 35?
Yeah, so my top priority is to at least step in and make sure that we don't lose any more of women's reproductive rights. As we saw last year, we pretty much got an abortion ban. And with that abortion ban, it means that I think you can't have an abortion after 6 weeks of being pregnant. And most women don't even know they're pregnant until after being 6 weeks pregnant. I do believe that it is our body and it is our choice of what we do with our bodies when it comes to reproduction. Also, the story of the African American woman who had to be put on, who was on life support and was forced to give birth to a child. That's something that I never want to see again. That's something that should have never happened. I have so many questions when it comes to it. And those are things that I plan to protect while I'm in the State House. And that's my number one. My number two right now is the literacy rate in education. As we know, the literacy rate has dropped within Georgia. Um, and when we talk about literacy, that doesn't just mean I can read the text that's on the screen. It means that I can also understand. So reading comprehension is very important, especially when it comes to life skills. But also, let's talk about how do I feel about school choice? So when it comes to school choice, I will go ahead and tell you all that I am against vouchers being used to pay for private school education. However, I am for public charter schools and I am also for fully funded public schools. Um, I am a, um, I attended a fully funded public school. We won awards while I was at that school, so I know exactly what we are able to do when we have a fully funded public school. Now, when it comes to charter schools, those are also near and dear to my heart. I have a little brother who is 12 years younger than me, and he was orphaned pretty much at the age of 14. He decided that he did not want to attend the public school we were zoned for, which is my school, but he wanted to attend a charter school. And honestly, I will say that charter school changed his life. He is currently getting his master's degree. He is 24 years old getting his master's degree, and he is the director of personnel for a football team. So we both are testaments of what public school can do, fully funded public school can do, and what public charter school can do.
Awesome. So we talked a little bit about some of the goals around housing, affordable housing. You just mentioned like education. I think you also one of your focus is also on small business. Maybe speak to a little bit of that as it relates to District 35.
Yeah, when it comes to District 35, I added small businesses because of what's happening over there on Old National. It's in the middle of being gentrified, and those businesses are going to be displaced. Now, what can we do to help those businesses currently? I'm not quite sure, but what can we do for future areas that will be gentrified is that we can ask for if someone's going to come through and develop this area, do you have a fund that will move displaced sorry, that will move displaced businesses, or do you have availability like do you have a leasing available, affordable leasing available for those businesses to stay within the same community that they've been in for years and years out? And that is my main focus when it comes to small business growth and making sure that small businesses are not displaced
Got
or at
it.
least compensated if they have to be displaced.
Okay. So this one's more of a like, pie in the sky. If you had a magic wand and you can look into the future in the next 5 years, what does District 35 look like then under your leadership?
Oh, so my real pie in the sky, I hear it is impossible. I'm still trying to figure out how to make it a possibility, and it's because of infrastructure that it might be impossible. But why don't we have a MARTA train station in the South Fulton area? Why do I have to go up two to three exits in order to get on a MARTA train? It should not take me 2 hours to get downtown from a MARTA with a MARTA train. So that is my pie in the sky goal, is to make sure that we have access to public transportation that is not inconvenient. Um, as we know, we do have a lot of heavy traffic when it comes to sorry, when it comes to our morning traffic and our afternoon traffic, and it's pretty much impossible to get to where you need to be on time. So my number one thing when it comes to like pie in the sky, hopes, dreams, this is what I'm going to dedicate myself to, is a MARTA station, a MARTA train station.
Awesome. So these next questions get into like relationships and how you would actually work if you are elected. So the first one I wanted to ask is, how will you plan on building relationships across party lines to deliver results for District 35?
Yeah, so I've actually already began building relationships, not only with, we'll start with our party itself, because as we know, I'm fresh and brand new to this, but I've already been endorsed by the Georgia Win List, and as we know, that consists of women, female Democrats who are in office or have been in office or would like to help out with campaigning. I have not been through their institute yet, but my goal is to go through their institute next year, their leadership institute. I do appreciate them for endorsing me. And then also, when it comes to cross party lines, I had this random moment the other day where I was making a cold call, and I actually got in touch with Senator Dan Moody, who is a Republican, and he's retired. And I got to the point where I told him, listen, I know you're not going to give me any money. You're not going to donate to me, but I would like to be able to lean on you and build a relationship with you, so that you can tell me about the State House and what to expect, especially from your side of party lines. Traditionally, I have grown up with people who are Republicans, and I usually do get along with them. We just have some ideologies that are not quite the same, and some things that I just can't support. But when it comes to being able to negotiate and being able to make sure that the budget is passed, any bills that I'm interested in for our city are also looked at in committee or passed. I know that that's just something you have to do. You have to be able to make nice with people.
Yeah, it's all about relationships.
Yeah.
In terms of state policies, what are some policies that you seek to change or either create in order to improve housing affordability, family stability, or we talked about schools already. What are some policy changes you would like to see made?
Yeah, so that would go fall into like my affordable housing slash attainable housing. As we know, there are corporations that are buying houses left and right, and one just bought the townhouse that's right behind me, and I was so disappointed that that happened. I didn't even know it was for sale. Um, and so, one of the things that I would want to change when it comes to policy is to be able to be able to ask for these corporations that if they're going to purchase a certain amount of land, or amount of properties within a certain mile radius, that they also contribute to a certain fund for displaced residents, or to be able to put on down payments to make the housing attainable for others, or also to just make sure that there is a limit to how many homes a person can buy. But that's one of those things that's like a pie in the sky, because as of right now, corporations are considered to be people, and we all know they aren't people. They're corporations with a lot of money and a lot of control.
Yeah. Rashard, did you have another question?
Yes. So earlier we were kind of getting into talking about the charter for the city of South Fulton. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on the charter? You had mentioned about our millage rate, the millage rate debacle that we've been having. So I wanted to see if we could have a discussion about the charter.
Oh, let's talk about it.
Yes.
So our charter, I'm grateful that we have a charter, but if we're going to brag about being able to have produce a charter, we also need to say that, hey, there are some flaws within our charter. One, we have a part-time city council, and we know that that is a full-time job. We also do not have a strong arm mayor, which means that the city manager so sorry, the city manager controls the city, and the city manager is not an elected official. That is an employee of the city. We should, I would push for us to be able to amend that charter so that we can have a full-time city council, and that so that we can have a strong arm mayor, and so that we can get ourselves back on track to become the desirable city that we know that we are.
Thank thank you for that. So what I'm hearing is you don't think that the weak mayor concept that we have in the city of South Fulton is working for us, and you think that we should move over to a strong mayor? Is that what I'm hearing?
Honestly, for currently, we're kind of lucky we got a weak mayor, but moving forward, we would more than likely need a strong arm mayor, because that's what makes a proper city, not a strong arm, I mean, not a weak arm mayor. A proper city consists of leaders who were voted on by its constituents, not an employee who someone just happened to hire and thought was good enough for the job.
All right, thank you for that. Now, I just wanted to remind the audience, if you would like to ask the candidate a question, please feel free to use the reaction button and raise your hand, and we will acknowledge you. Now, there is a question that came up from the chat, and it says, "I did not know established businesses can be displaced if a certain area turns gentrified. Is the law of eminent domain at work here?"
I do not think that was eminent domain. I do believe that what happened there is that those businesses did not own the buildings that they were in. And so if a developer comes up to the person who actually owns it and they're like, yeah, I'll sell, the owner is like, yeah, I'll sell this to you for $5 million. Well, guess what? Those businesses no longer have the same place that they were in for 20, 30 years. They have to move on. They have to find a new place that's in the area. They have to make sure that the new building is also just as affordable as it was for them. And as we know, brick and mortar is dying of a slow death, and we don't need to see that happening in our community businesses.
Great, thank you for that. Now we'll turn it back over to Courtney.
Thanks, Rashad. So speaking of South Fulton, we're hearing a lot about transparency. A lot of it's about these P cards. But how do you plan to keep your office accessible and accountable to your constituents?
Oh yeah, so I kind of answered that before, but we'll kind of go back into it. I told you I am working on finding a platform where constituents will be able to not only reach me, but reach the people in my office. There are people that I do plan on bringing with me. One of them is in here. Her name is Addie Haney. She was the digital director from the station that I was at in Atlanta. And so, as you know, the station we were at is #1 in digital news. And so therefore we have the experience to take on a lot of questions, a lot of opinions, and find not only take those suggestions, hear those opinions, but also find solutions to the issues and be able to take them on one by one. And that is what my real plan is to kind of set this up, kind of like I told you before, like a newsroom of where I'm not only listening to the constituents about their issues, but I'm also working to solve the issues that they have.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Ms. Williams, you have a question?
Jane, I know Jane. Hey, Jane. Jane's running
Hi
for House
there.
of Representatives. Hey, girl.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good, good to see you
Good
again.
to see you, Jane. That's 3 times
I
in
know,
less
right?
than a month.
In the name of the Father, Son, and the
Yes,
Holy Ghost, okay?
yes.
Okay, so my question is,
Wait,
um,
Jane, tell them what you're running for first.
oh, I'm running for House District 68. It's a state house seat. It is between two counties, Fulton County and Fayette County, with 6 cities. So that'll be South Fulton, Union City, Fairburn, Tyrone, Peachtree City, and Fayetteville next year. Thank you.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so now, you know, we there's a lot going on with, the government shutdown, the White House tear down, and in Georgia, well, not only the White House tear down, but the food stamps possibly being cut, the affordable health care rates increasing. So in Georgia, we have a budget of or surplus of 14.6 billion with a B dollars, and 9 billion of those dollars are undesignated, while 5.6 billion dollars are for a rainy day. Now, Kemp has said we are not in a rainy day. I don't know what he feel like a rainy day is, but however, so also with the unknown growing of tariffs and that kind of thing, federal cuts to Medicaid. Now, how do you see that this money could be well spent? The $14.6 billion.
Oh man, I did this last week, uh, and I actually said it before the news article came out that hey,
Uh-huh.
we have $14.6 billion in the surplus. There's no
Mm-hmm.
reason why any Georgian should go hungry,
Right.
especially not this year. And you're telling me we have $14.6 billion in the surplus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do know that 9 billion of it is not accounted for and 5.6
Mm-hmm.
billion of it is. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I would say that money needs to go towards financing SNAP benefits, at least
Mm-hmm.
until we can reopen the government from the government shutdown. That money also needs to go towards, so sorry, a little bit of cold here. That money also needs to go towards citizens who need it, especially right now. We're dealing with a bit of a different sense of weather when it comes to the month of November. It's cold out there. What
Mm-hmm.
about our unhoused people? Are there any warming centers that we can provide for them? Is there any temporary housing we can provide for them? I've seen cities or even in certain states where they have turned 18 wheelers, the can't remember the cubicles that are
Containers.
the containers that are on 18 wheelers into temporary housing for unhoused people. So I think with $14.6 billion in surplus, there is no reason why anyone in Georgia should go hungry, and there is no reason why anyone in Georgia should be unhoused right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you,
Um,
Jane.
you're welcome. Can I have a follow-up question, please?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you mentioned unhoused, right? And I remember a few years ago, um, there was a bill passed that, how the unhoused are kind of like all around the Capitol and they sleep and everything. They sleep, they eat, they do everything. So there was like a law that was passed to where they could not be sleeping around the Capitol. And if anyone was caught helping them, that they would be sanctioned or something like that. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I'm very familiar with that. That
Mhm.
happened because of for a couple of reasons. That
Mhm.
happened, one, because they didn't want to look at unhoused people
Mhm.
as they drove into the State House. Two, it happened because of the bridge collapse on 85.
Yes.
That was what they said was possibly caused by an unhoused man.
Mhm.
Um, but instead, and also they did ban people from not only just around the State House from helping unhoused people, but you have
Mhm.
to have a license in
Mhm.
order to even give out food to unhoused people. Whereas
Mhm.
before you could just pass out food on any given day. Now
Mhm.
there's a chance that you can be fined or ticketed if you're caught giving out food to unhoused people. What kind of world is that
I
correct
know.
in?
Mhm.
That is horrible. And then
Mhm.
not only that, under all of the overpasses or underpasses, they put a whole bunch of boulders in place to prevent people from being able to sleep in the
Mhm.
underpasses. I don't think that's worked very well because I still see unhoused camps, especially near the State House. But with all of what they're doing to hide unhoused people, they could be
Mhm.
housing people.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Jane. Thank you. I can't wait to see you again.
All right. Thank you, Courtney.
Thanks, Jane. I can't quite tell. I see some comments coming through the chat. Rashard, is there another question from the chat right now?
Yes, I'm just gonna read it the
Okay.
way it is stated in the chat. Can you discuss the gentrification of the Fourth Ward where that area was traditionally Black? Don't know the percentage of Black businesses that were located if they are in that area at all, but an area that was an area of urban blight, drug dealing, and prostitution. Um, Ms. Harvey, do you want to clarify that question? If you can raise your hand and I'll.
I think she did a clapping emoji.
Okay. All right. So, Ms. Solomon, if you can address that, if you can.
Um, so I think I have a solid answer, but let me just make sure I know what I'm talking about before I say something out loud. Oh yes.
M-
Okay. I know
m-
exactly what we're talking
All
about.
right, Miss
Oh, Miss
Solomon.
Harvey's ready. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm gonna unmute her. Miss Solomon, I'm sorry, Miss Harvey, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I left the A off that AEREA. It's supposed to have been area. But
Oh,
yes, the situation, you mentioned earlier about how businesses would be displaced
yes,
in
ma'am.
the old National District if it became gentrified. And, that was news to me because I did not know that you can move businesses, established businesses from an area if they were already there to begin with, if it becomes gentrified. But you answered that question. And then I wanted to know, do you have any knowledge of the situation, the gentrification of the Fourth Ward? Where that area was traditionally Black since what I think since the 1920s. And what happened, they had a lot. I think the people that were in those buildings, I think they rented
Mm-hmm.
for the longest.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ended up being a drug dealing area, and prostitution. And then what happened was, um, I don't know if these were corporations or just private investors that came in and completely rehabbed it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just wondering what was the um, procedure that if they see an area, torn down area like this, what is the procedure that they will use in order to uh, revamp a area that is run down? Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Miss Harvey. So I want to answer this question at the best of my ability. I did cover a lot of stories when it came to Old Fourth Ward and the gentrification of Old
Mhm.
Fourth Ward. But I will tell you, as soon as you start hearing that a community has blighted homes, that's exactly when these corporations and investors go in to buy that neighborhood. You can pretty much uh, tell from the passing of ownership through court records, especially in Fulton County, to see who's buying what and how much property they have bought within the last couple of years. But usually these people sit on this property for as soon as they start hearing that it's called a blighted area. They'll sit on that property for even 10, 20 years because they know they're going to get their money's worth. In the meantime, they'll rent it out to whomever. But once it's time and they have enough property in that area, that's when they start to get other investors involved. And that's when they sell off the property that they've bought to developers. And so at that point, if no one is in the neighborhood that no one owns in the neighborhood, it's fairly easy to take over a neighborhood. And then also, you're pretty much left with one or two people that hold on to a neighborhood, kind of like in Peoplestown. And when that happens, eminent domain starts to get involved because you have one person holding out over the rest of the people who own the community.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Ms. Harvey.
That was quite interesting because in the building of the city of South Fulton, I have a certain area that I want destroyed for the betterment of the whole community where they have these filthy garages on Roosevelt Highway and tire places. And that is a traditionally beautiful street.
Yeah.
But you've got these horrendous tire places, a filling station every couple of inches away from each other. Now I know that kind of zoning was grandfathered in about 30 or 40, well, 40 or 50 years ago, and it hasn't changed. And so I have been asking about just taking that property through eminent domain because I think about three or four of them are renting the property. They don't own the area, the land, or that sort of thing. But the city of South Fulton has been kind of slow on that. So, of course, they probably have their reasons, but yeah, thank you so much for answering that question.
You're welcome, Ms. Harvey. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Ms. Harvey. Jane, do you have another question?
Yes, and I'm sorry, this will be my last question, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
We have to fill up the time, so go ahead, ask anything.
Okay, great. Okay, so I think I heard you mention that you were a journalist, correct?
Yeah, I used to
Okay.
be a journalist.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was my
okay.
first career.
Okay, great. Okay, so this year in June, a journalist, Mario Guevara, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, he was detained, right, because of, what he was reporting. And so he is a Salvadorian journalist and a asylum seeker, right? And so while his charges have been dropped, after 100 or so days in ICE custody, he has now been deported to El Salvador. So the Trump administration wants to stifle or silence the media from honest reporting.
Mhm.
And this is one of the most dangerous times for freedom of speech in our American history. So, how do you protect our freedom of speech and our Latino population?
Oh, yeah, I love that question. So I will address freedom of speech first.
Mhm.
Um, as a journalist, since I was a journalist before, I love to tell people, hey, you fight so hard for the Second Amendment, but
Mhm.
freedom of speech is in the First Amendment.
Mhm.
So let's not skip over that First Amendment to go
Mhm.
directly to the Second Amendment. And I always fight for freedom of speech, but we must remember freedom
Mhm.
of speech just means that you will not be in trouble with the government when it comes to what you say. It does not
Mhm.
mean that you won't be in trouble with your employer or any other person that you talk about. We have to also remember what's liable, and we have to remember what we can and can't say about people, and that if something is not true, that we cannot say those things out loud because we can be sued. Um, and that is not encompassed within freedom of speech. But yes, my answer to that is we have to continue to remind people that the first freedom of speech is in the First Amendment. If we're going to fight so hard for our guns within the Second Amendment, you can't skip over the First Amendment. Um, as far as the Latino community and population, they are near and dear to my heart. If you go to Erica Denise Solomon, I'm sorry, Erica Denise 4GA.com right now, I have a whole section of my website that is in Spanish. My staff, I have a staff member who is he's Mexican. He was born in America, but he's of Mexican descent. And he has made sure that I was not only the first person in this race to even, I think this is the first time we've even mentioned the Latino community in this race out loud publicly. They do make up about 7% of this district. So we should not forget them. We should continue to make sure that we are speaking up for them, especially when it comes to ICE and detainment. And we also need to make sure that they feel at home here because they came over here for a reason. They knew that we would be able to help protect them from ICE. And because I've seen a lot more of the Latino population in my area lately, and I'm like, oh, they're coming here for protection. And so that makes me feel really warm inside that they know that the Black community is always willing to help out other people of color. But yes, so as far as the Latino community, in Georgia, we have the largest ICE detainee facility, and we must know that there's a good chance that we have a big event that's happening next year, and there's a good chance that the same thing that DC is seeing and the same thing that other larger cities are seeing is might come our way, and we just have to be prepared for that. And we also have to be prepared to protect the Latino community and other people of color.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome, Jane. Thank you. I love your questions, Jane.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Oh,
Jane. Richard?
you're welcome. Thank
Yes, so since we're talking about freedom of speech, here in the city of South Fulton, we actually just got our freedom of speech back at our city council meeting. So, what are your thoughts about legislation to prevent cities and governments from doing that in the future? Jane Williams actually was very instrumental in working with Councilwoman Pritchett to make that happen. So, what are your thoughts on that? Preventing government agencies from stifling the voices of residents at government meetings.
Yeah, I think that all government meetings should be public and that we should be able to stream them, especially when we're talking about city council meetings and we're talking about sessions within the state house. Everything should be streamable, everything should be transparent. I will say that Jane, kudos to you because that's amazing that you were able to make sure that the city of South Fulton stayed transparent when it came to our meetings. But yes, I do believe in transparency, and as a senator, I will be a transparent senator who releases newsletters, also gives you updates constantly about what's going on in the state house and what bills are going to impact us.
Thank you for that. There's a question in the chat that says Georgia Senate Bill 108 proposes to establish legislation for property owners, HOAs, which aim to provide protections against homeowners regarding liens, requiring dispute resolution. What are your thoughts about HOAs who experience problematic boards and unfairly placed liens that are not properly processed or even legitimate?
I just want to make sure that I pretty much can answer this properly. Are we talking about like those HOAs that put liens on people's homes and then sell them right away and they didn't have permission to do so, and then the HOA gets sued and now everybody has a lien on their home?
All right, so Miss Patricia, if you can raise your hand and I'll unmute you. If you can assist with that. Miss Patricia, I've unmuted you. You have the floor.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening,
Mm.
Miss Patricia.
Thanks for being on board with us and answering our questions, ma'am.
Oh, for sure. Anything.
So I've been an advocate in pushing HOA reform through the House and the Senate for the past couple of years. So I've been to a lot of the committee hearings and learned a lot about what across the aisle means, and it's all great. But down to business, they recently are there's legislation in regards to homeowner protections with rogue HOA boards. And one of those protections, I believe it's either 107 or 108, is in regards to protecting homeowners against false claims on liens. And you said it partly correct. There's a lot of HOA communities throughout the state that are experiencing members having liens placed on their homes for nefarious reasons, um, uh, lack of legitimate reasons. I'm trying to be careful what I say. Bogus reasons. I'm not worried about the legitimate ones, but there are a lot of nefarious activities going on in a lot of these communities where, especially our communities, where a lot of especially elderly, fixed income homeowners that are experiencing liens coming out of nowhere or liens being placed on their homes. You're right, without proper notification and without the process of being able to fight like a dispute resolution or having to sue. What are your thoughts about all that? And where do you stand in terms of some protections against rogue HOA boards who are going after homeowners for a lot of reasons? I can go on and on, but I won't.
So I've been thinking about like solutions for that. But I do believe that there needs to be HOAs need to be regulated more, especially when it comes to HOAs that are not sold off to another company. So my HOA for where I live, that is not directly impacted by the members of the HOA. We actually we've outsourced it to another company. So if there is a reason to have a lien on a home, it's not because your neighbor didn't like the way you did this, it's because you just didn't pay your HOA. So I do believe, I want to say that it works for my community. I'm not sure if outsourcing your HOA works for every community. But I do believe that HOAs do need to be regulated and looked at closely, because sometimes people are losing their house just because their next door neighbor just doesn't like them. And that's not fair.
Okay, thank you for that answer. You troubled me for a minute there, but you finished where I thought you would finish. Yeah, we're talking about legitimate nefarious activity.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
we're not talking about somebody who deserves to get a lien. We're
yes,
talking about that board
yes.
member who
Who
don't
just
like
doesn't
you.
like you.
And yeah, and so those are the protections that we're looking for in
Yes,
I believe it's 107
yes, ma'am.
or 108.
Can you reach out to me about that? Because I would love to read more into that and see if I can possibly help out with that cause.
Yeah, it's gaining traction within the House, and the Senate is really looking at going ahead and passing 107 and 108. They're at the process now where they're, I guess, fine tuning and before it gets blessed and sent off to where it gets sent off for approval, I guess. But yeah, I will do that. The other question I have is if I can ask this. There's
Mhm.
another part of the Georgia SB 107, and I may just use them interchangeably. Also aims to protect homeowners in regards to an ombudsman's office. And this is where to protect associations from, once again, nefarious boards that are going after targeting, revenge, retaliation, harassment against homeowners. Do you support I hate to say this, Osbudman office? And would you support the bill?
Miss Patricia, I'm not even sure what that office is, if I'm going to be honest with you. I am going to have Addie put my contact information in the chat. Get in touch with me. We're going to talk more about that, and I'll be able to give you an answer as soon as I'm a little bit more educated on that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mhm. Oh, Rashawn says it's, hey, Representative Kim, it's an office that oversees HOAs. Oh, yeah. Um, uh, Mr. Kemp, Representative Kemp, can you get off mute and explain it a little bit?
Mr. Kemp, if you can raise your hand and I'll see you and then I can unmute you. You have the floor, Mr. Kemp.
Good evening, y'all. Senator Kemp, by the
Senator Kemp, I'm
My
so
bad.
sorry. I'm so
It's
sorry,
fine.
Senator
It's
Kemp.
okay. It's all right. But an ombudsman office would be an office at the state level that would oversee HOAs to ensure that they are treating their communities fairly and doing it correctly. We have some communities that have gone rogue, in which HOA presidents don't even live in the community anymore. And so we're trying to do what we can. And these bills have been introduced by Senator Donzella James, who chairs the Urban Affairs Committee. So we've been having hearings on these bills, and we're just now trying to get them to move. And there's also an initiative that Chairman Matt Brass, who chairs appropriations, has put forward. It does not go as far as we want it to go. So that is another strategy we're trying to use in trying to get some of the language that Senator James introduced put into his bill.
Thank you so much, Senator Kemp.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
All right. Mr. Sam Bowen, you should be able to unmute yourself. You have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Miss Solomon, you're doing an excellent job.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it.
No problem. And thank you for that answer, Senator Kemp.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. So I'm gonna be careful because I'm opening up a sensitive topic, and it's data center related. In the last couple times we had this conversation, it got pretty personal for some folks, and I totally understand why. But so just to frame my question, basically, data centers, they bring in the beginning part, they bring traffic, they bring a lot of construction noise, you name it. And afterwards, you have the water use, concerns, light pollution, electricity bills that could potentially come from it. What specific ideas do you have to give the affected residents a little bit more teeth in defense when these decisions are made at our municipal level by our council members and mayor that sometimes don't listen to the residents, but make a decision based on tax benefits that they could potentially get? And I know we have an office at the state level, Georgia Department of Community Affairs, that they play a role in that. And they recently made some adjustments to how the state and the municipality should consider data centers and when it triggers a review. So I was just wondering in general if you had any thoughts or ideas on how you could beef that up, as well as any other thing you think you could do to help residents, like I said, have a stronger voice when it comes to fighting back against data centers that are being moved right next door to us.
Yeah, I want to say that I'm not fully educated on the data centers in our area right now, or how they actually got here, and if we, as city or residents of the city of South Fulton, are able to, if there's a meeting to call to talk about the data centers coming. I do know that for a while, Governor Kemp was pushing for Georgia to become number one. She says City of South Fulton doesn't own the land where the data centers, hold on, where the data centers will be built. You'll never see that in Chattahoochee Hills because the city owns 70% of the land. Thank you, Miss Pamela. So I guess she kind of answered it. But anyway, I'm not quite educated on data centers within our area, but I am educated on data centers and the impact of data centers. Now, if you're asking me if I'm for them coming to the area, absolutely not. But if is it something that we currently can regulate? I am not sure. And I will look more into that, Sam, and I will get back to you on that. I've actually Addie put my direct email address in the chat. And so I will give you an answer by tomorrow on that, Mr. Bowen.
Oh, no problem. Appreciate it. I mean, in general, one of the reasons why a lot of data centers are coming here because we have the trifecta. We have the land,
Yes.
we have the internet, and we have the power as far as
Yes.
electricity goes. So it's a really hot spot, and a lot of municipalities and some county level communities, they also make decisions. Like one of the world's largest data centers, less than 35 miles, or being put in less than 35 miles from us, down in closer to Newton. So, and it's all about the potential money in the beginning part.
Yeah,
But
but
I
I've
know
seen the impacts of them
yep.
in Memphis, in the Memphis area, with higher electricity bills. The water isn't as clean as it was before. It doesn't seem like it's the lemon is worth the squeeze, especially when it comes to the citizens of those areas. But yeah, I definitely need to look more into the data centers that are coming to the area. You said it's coming to Noonan?
Well, there's Noonan, but in our area alone, in South Fulton alone, there's probably about 6 or 7 that's slated. I mean, I know
Yeah.
there's 3, and it's a touchy subject in our area because sometimes they're right across the street. They're in Union City. They're in Fairburn. But no matter what, if you're on Stonewall Tell, there's a massive data center there. If you're on South Fulton Parkway, there's another large data center going in. So it
I'm
doesn't.
off of Fulton Industrial, where Fulton Industrial meets Camp Creek. I know I'm close to a Sterligenics plant, but
Mhm.
I don't know about a data center. I suspect that that's what's being built. That's kind of behind the Publix in Sandtown, but I'm not sure if that's what that is.
Quite possible. There's one
Yes.
that was slated for that area.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be one, but I wasn't quite sure if it was, so I wasn't quite ready to make a stink about it yet.
I
Oh
think
yeah,
by the
well,
time the land is cleared, it's probably too late, but I
Yeah,
don't know,
yeah,
Sam, you could speak to some of
yeah,
that around the zoning.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, it has to start sooner than that for a lot of residents. A lot of residents aren't aware. Zoning meetings are traditionally open, but a lot of times people are busy schedules. So, like, I love the ideas you proposed earlier as far as being quite transparent with us and sending out newsletters and information.
Yeah.
And also, I can speak to, like, I've seen Senator Camp at community meetings and stuff. That's how I know he's one of our senators for South Fulton because he's in the community more often than none. But so things like that help so that
I've seen
we
that
have a direct access and talk to you. Yep.
he's been at all of the forums, and I appreciate him for coming to all of them. But yes, Mr. Bowen, I am going to look more into that, and I'll be able to give you an educated answer tomorrow. I
Yep.
like to tell
No, that's
people,
fine. That is totally
like I
fine.
like to tell people, journalists know a little bit about a lot. We don't know a lot about a little.
I like that one. Thank you.
Trying to make sure, are there any more questions?
I don't see. Yeah, I don't see any. Wait a
Okay,
minute.
just want to make sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn it back to you, Courtney.
Okay, awesome. So I just have a couple more questions. So if anyone else has more from the audience, feel free to raise your hands and we'll get you the access. Um, these other questions go back to more around how you're going to deal with residents in the community. We talked about your platform, but how will you encourage residents who feel discouraged or dismayed by the current state of politics in America and as well as in our local community? How are you going to engage people to get involved?
Yeah, I think the way to engage people to get involved is to it, people aren't concerned until it really hits home for them. As a Black woman, we know that there are over 300,000 Black women in America who are not only educated, but overeducated and unemployed. So right now, everything hits home for us. But we also know that we vowed to take a break. Um, so it's a matter of how bad does it get until we're ready to come up from our break. But also there are things like our SNAP benefits being cut during the holidays. That's not something that we take a break from. That's something where we gather with community food banks and figure out how we can make sure everyone within the community is fed, especially for Thanksgiving. Um, so I think it's a matter of what hits home and what we can actually do without taking the much needed break that we need as Black women.
Okay. Rashard, I see Teresa's iPhone, her hand is raised.
All right, Miss Teresa, you should be able to unmute yourself. You have the floor.
Thank you. Um, Miss Erica, you mentioned about Sterigenics on Fulton Industrial Boulevard, and I live like right a mile away from there. I understand that this company is emitting chemicals that is cancer causing. What can you do, or what is being done about removing that company, or somehow protecting us from other companies coming in in our area?
I don't think there's currently anything being done because I don't think a lot of people realize that that's right there. I remember when we were covering that story before, we were covering Cobb. We weren't covering the plant that's right here off of Boat Rock. It's on Boat Rock.
Mhm.
And so I'm not exactly sure what we do to make a big stink about it or how to get rid of it because even Cobb hasn't been able to get rid of their Sterigenics plant. I think they've made more concessions about their Sterigenics plant and not like, okay, we're going to vacate because it's not safe here. Because we also have to remember that living off of Fulton Industrial, that this wasn't always a residential area, and so I think there's a matter of us being able to negotiate with the people of Sterigenics and figure out, is there a place further out that they can go so it won't affect as many residents? Because I will say, off of Fulton Industrial, probably over half of the communities off of Fulton Industrial are at least, they are, sorry, I want to say about 30 years old, and Fulton Industrial has been an industrial street for way longer than we've been here. So it's a matter of us having to negotiate and figuring out if there's another place that they can go, and if that place is far enough out where it's not impacting the health of others. And we also need to see the research of how it's impacting the health of our residents because that research has not been done. It was done for Fulton County, for Cobb County, but it was not done for the Sterigenics plant here. We didn't even report on it here.
Is that something that would be done in your area, or is that South Fulton, or who's
Um, I,
responsible?
I do believe that that is City of South Fulton's responsibility. That is in City of South Fulton's jurisdiction. But that would be a matter of who owns that land or who owns that building, if they're okay with who owns that land, who owns that building, and what is the agreement that they currently have with that plant? How long is the lease? And is there another area of which they can go, because they also have to be within a certain distance from a hospital so that they can get those tools to the hospital quickly.
Okay.
I know it seems like it's a more of a lose-lose, but I'm pretty sure that there is some solution, especially once we get the research done on who it's affecting and how it's affecting us. Because I'm pretty sure there is a good chance that it is impacting the health of our neighbors, and they just don't know that that's what it is.
Hmm. Okay.
So that's another one we need to maybe take offline because
Yeah, we need to take that one offline for sure, because I think, especially because the research was done in Cobb and not done on our streets, it's one of those things of where we have to actually get that research done. How many people has this impacted? How many people have reported having cancer in our area, and what types of cancer? And is that cancer linked to the Sterigenics plant?
maybe
Hmm.
also from an environmental perspective, we can
Mhm.
explore that as well too. My
Yeah.
first job was in a textile plant in South Carolina, and I know that there are certain emissions that are allowed typically, and some that may not be as well. So we can look into that option as
I
well.
remember checking one time to see about the emissions for that plant, for that site. And we didn't even make that list. They said that we were okay.
Oh,
But
wow.
we've also seen what's going on in Cobb, and we know that we're not okay. So it would be a matter of us getting together and figuring out how to get the research done, and how many people has that plant impacted.
Hmm. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry I couldn't answer that one better.
I know we're alarmed about data centers, but that is also very alarming, and I
Yeah.
don't think a lot of people really know about it.
They don't know it's there, because even when you go past it on Boat Rock, because most people think Boat Rock is just that little neighborhood area of Boat Rock, but if you go straight down the street, you run into the industrial area. They do not have their name on the building, but it is right there, and it's on the right side of the building, and you can see the trucks going back and forth all day from the hospital and
Hmm.
back to Sterligenics.
Hmm. Okay.
Jane, you have another question?
Yes. Okay, so thank you. I just wanted to piggyback on that as well, Sterigenics. I know in 2019, 2020, I was working for Commissioner Joe Karn, and he at that time was trying to get that building shut down because of the impact that it was having, the carcinogens and all these different releases that was being released into the community. So I don't know where that ended up, but I know the commissioners should be aware of that building. And
Which commissioner was that was working on that, Jane?
Joe Karn, he's a councilman now in College Park. So Joe
Okay.
Karn, Carn. Yeah, you might can reach out to him and see if he has any more information.
Yeah. Oh,
Hmm.
Jane, do you want to work with me on that one?
I will.
Okay. Jane, my email address is in the chat, so
I got it.
hit me up. And you have my card, don't you? With my
I
cell phone
do.
number.
I do.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We have a project together, Jane. Let's
All right.
fix this.
All right. Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Action oriented. I love it.
Oh,
Are there any more questions? I think I have one more from me, but does anyone else have a question before we wrap up?
I don't see any.
that's it.
Okay, awesome. So, Miss Erica, thank you. It's been a delight having this discussion with you this evening. As we wrap up and close, we wanted to just give you another opportunity to describe why you are the best person to fill this seat, to be a senator for District 35.
Yeah. So to wrap this up, I will say I've had a great time. I told Rashad earlier when I spoke to him on the phone that I was excited about this because I saw that he said he wanted to do this more as a talk show form. I was like, oh, I'm so excited for that. And then we talked about exactly because he didn't know I was a neighbor. We talked about everything going on in the city. But the reasons why you guys should vote for me on either tomorrow or any day tomorrow, anytime between tomorrow and November 18th. One is because I am dedicated to this community. I've been here for 7 years. I am a homeowner. I know the issues of the city of South Fulton when it comes to our cityhood, when it comes down to sterilogenics, and I'm always down for causing problems, or like John Lewis would say, causing good trouble, and getting answers to questions, and then also finding solutions to those issues. As I told you, I will be transparent. I have been I've pretty much been a transparent person all my life. I fought for transparency. As I don't know if you all know this, but I attended Bethune-Cookman University, and so we've had some transparency issues in the past, and I was one of the people in the forefront, um, asking for a new president, asking for transparency, asking them why in the heck would you get Betsy DeVos to be the speaker of the graduation and organizing that protest. Um, so I have been quite active not only in this community, but in all of the communities that I am a part of, whether it's Bethune-Cookman, whether it's Alpha Kappa Alpha, whether it's UGA. I am result. I'm so sorry. I am results oriented. And I've told you my plan for transparency. Not only am I going to give you newsletters on a consistent basis, I am also very open to in-person and virtual town halls. And I repeat that, in-person and virtual town halls. I'm also in the process of coming up with a platform of where residents will be able to connect with me personally to tell me about their issues and to see if I can help solve their problems, like I did many years before, as a journalist. And then also, as I'm currently doing in my current role, with the federal government. I work with budgets. I've told Rashad earlier, when we were talking about auditing the city of South Fulton, is that I've worked in audits. We just audited Hampton County, South Carolina. And so I'm all for audits because, like I said before, I'm all for transparency. And then one of the biggest reasons that I do believe that you all should vote for me is because not only do I plan to serve for this term, because we all know this election is for only one term, which means that whoever wins this will have to run again this same time next year. Um, I can tell you right now, win or lose, I'm running again next year. I'm not sure if all of our candidates can say the same thing, but I can make you that promise that win or lose, I'm running again next year. I'm going to have the same platforms. I'm going to work towards everything that we talked about this evening. I am going to be with Jane when it comes to sterilogenics. I'm researching more and more about data centers coming to our area. I care about the unhoused. I am inclusive. I will say I am the only candidate in this race that is a modern Democrat, that believes in inclusivity, who believes that Black people are not the only people who are having a hard time in this country, but we are having a hard time in this country, and that we should always think of others and treat others the way that we would like to be treated. I'm Erica Denise Solomon, and I thank you so much for this time. It was so wonderful. Thank you, guys. I really enjoyed this.
I did as well. Thanks everyone for joining, and thanks for all the questions. Rashad, I'm turning it back over to you.
Thank you so much for that. And Ms. Solomon, on behalf of the South Fulton Coalition, I want to thank you for the time that you spent talking with us and answering our questions. And also you, Ms. Hendricks, I appreciate you being the moderator at such short notice. It seems like we've been having a lot of short notices lately, so I appreciate you being so willing to help out, and you did a great job. Now, as far as tomorrow, everybody knows tomorrow's election day. If you have not already voted, please go out and vote. And hopefully we can get some resolution to some of what we see going on in our city and also statewide. We have a public service commission race that's on that ballot as well. So please come out and vote. Now, Ms. Solomon, sorry to put you on the spot about this. I meant to ask you earlier. Can you explain why we are having this special election for Senate District 35?
Yes, I can. And I'm happy you asked me that because I was like, oh crap, I forgot to tell them how to vote tomorrow because that's going to be a thing. When it comes to this special election, we are having this special election because our current senator, well, our vacated senator, Jason Estevez, has decided to run for governor. He did step down in enough time for this election to be on the November 4th ballot. However, how higher powers saw it otherwise, maybe because there is a commissioner race coming and they didn't want the residents of 35 to come out and vote for sure. Maybe it isn't that reason, but you'll have to make that decision on your own. Now, when it comes to voting, especially tomorrow, there is going to be, because I've already voted, when you go into your precinct, especially if you are in, hold on, I want to make sure I'm saying this right before I say anything at all. It's on my page. Sorry, there it is. Okay, perfect. There it is. So if you are in City of South Fulton, which most of us are, you have the C.T. Martin location that does early voting, the Northwest Library at Scotts Crossing that does early voting, and so does the Wolf Creek Library. At all of those precincts, you are able to vote to get 2 ballots. You'll go through the line first for your November 4th election and you will vote for that. Then they'll tell you to step out of that line. Once you step out of that line, you'll go ahead and vote, go to the line for the November 18th election. They will give you another ballot. There's only one thing on the November 18th ballot, and that is for District 35. And I hope you vote for me when you go to press your people for that ballot. And guess what, y'all? Because you're voting 2 times, they give you 2 stickers. I love those stickers.
All right, so I know I went to go vote, and when I went to go vote, they did tell me, because I went and voted at Southwest Art Center, and they told me that I had to go over the C.T. Martin or I had to go over the Wolf Creek, which I thought was a little strange, but that's the way they handle it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's the way they're handling it. So only if your precinct is an only early voting precinct for tomorrow, will you be able to vote twice, the 2 ballots. But if you go to a precinct that is not an early voting precinct, because mine is Southwest Art Center too, you'll only get that 1 ballot. But you can always still go to the Wolf Creek Library and vote 2 times in one day. This is rare, y'all. I heard this hasn't happened in like 10 years.
And you have to use certain machines.
Yes.
There's certain designated machines if you go to Wolf Creek that you can use.
They have a partition. That's where I went to vote. So they have a partition between the November 4th machines and the November 18th machines. And you can get it all done in one go if that's your precinct. But if that's not your precinct, you have to go twice. I'm sorry. It's not my fault, I promise.
Yeah. Well, thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
And I get ready to wrap up, we actually tomorrow is election day, so please go out and vote. And then on Wednesday we will be back with your opponent, Carenza Morris, and we will be hearing from him. So
Wait, do
we
you
will
have
be.
him Wednesday or do you have John Williams? Because John
No,
just told me he has you guys this week.
No, he didn't confirm. So we have Carenza Morris tomorrow. So, but I'll have my team reach out to
Please
him,
do. He's
and
a
we'll,
nice man. He's a
yeah,
very
we'll get it
nice man.
resolved. We'll get it resolved. So, Sam Bowen, you have the floor.
Just Monday, just a reminder, we have Senator Representative Bruce on Monday.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, so we do have Roger Bruce I'm sorry, Representative Roger Bruce on Monday. Thank you for reminding me. And that's all I have for everybody. Look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow. I'm sorry. Look forward to seeing everybody back on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.